that menstrual leave is a policy choice for governments to make, and that making it mandatory across the country could have unintended effects. There's still no national law on this, remember. There is to a large extent state implementation we've seen across the country. The picture though remains patchy. Bihar, Odisha do offer menstrual leave just to government employees. Karnataka universities, at least some of them, provided to students as well. But now Karnataka is going to be the first. It's going to go all out and extend this one leave per month to every registered workplace. Every woman gets to avail this leave. The real question though is, can menstrual leave create a healthier, more supportive workplace for women without becoming another obstacle in their journey? Let's decode that and a lot more. So we're being joined this morning by Meghna Pant, who is an author herself, alongside Dr. Nikita Sopti, Senior Director and Head Gynecologist, Fortis Hospital, Gurugram. Thank you to both you ladies for joining us this morning. It's an interesting conversation, and all ladies panel, so looks great for a Monday morning. If I can begin with you, Meghna, how do you look at this? There are two aspects that need to be spoken of. We'll go across to the doctor for the health aspect and why this is the need of the hour, long overdue as we've been discussing. But what does it do to a woman in a workplace? How many pluses and minuses do you think come with this move?
No, I think the first thing we need to keep in mind is that this is not a battle of the sexes. It's a test of whether India is kind of finally ready to design laws that are humane, neutral, and rooted in reality, not biases. And I think it's also time to end the taboo around women's menstruation in the country and speak up, because periods are normal and no woman should be ashamed of it. And you know this as well. Yes. As women, we are paying over and over again for this natural act. We're told we're dirty, we're polluted, we're cursed, we're impure. We're not allowed to enter religious places or ceremonies. We're told that anything we touch will rot. We're told to use old fabric and plastic because pads are too expensive. So let's be real, first of all. If cisgender men bled for 5 days a month or got pregnant or breastfed or gave childbirth and still showed up to meetings, we would not even be debating this. So Karnataka's menstruation leave today, we would not be even talking about it. We'd have labs racing to invent zero pain periods or gold-plated breast pumps and a padman who actually sat on the board of Fortune 500. What we have instead are women who are quietly popping Meftal in office bathrooms and almost apologizing for their biology. Illiteracy rates of girls are high because by the time they hit the 7th standard, they drop out of school on Minash. So, and one more thing which a lot of people do not know is that 88% of our 497 million women, they don't even use sanitary napkins because they're too expensive for them. So what we need to make absolutely clear is that compassion is not the same as chivalry and rights are not revenge. We don't need laws that pedestalize women into Devi, but neither do we need policies that are penalizing women into becoming a Diana. Spare us both the worship and the witch hunt. It's the same patriarchy in different saris. So I think what we need to focus on is that menstrual leave should be inside a gender-neutral, biology-aware sort of framework that recognizes also trans men, non-binary folks, and men's reproductive health needs as well, like ED, infertility, or prostate health. And anti-discrimination safeguards must ensure that women are not penalized in either hiring or promotions or appraisals for using this leave. And one more thing we need to do is data has to be tracked on the uptake, the productivity and retention and wage gaps. So let's not roll back the rights, let's refine these rights. So when we talk about Karnataka's menstrual leave, let's not clap sort of mechanically because it's good for women, but at the same time, let's not panic that the economy will collapse because of this. So let's ask harder questions. I think that's what the policies is going to do to women at the workplace in the long term. Will it make workplaces kinder without turning women into weaker employees? And does it move us towards gender equality, or is it going to just add more labels to an already over-labeled gender? So I think it should not be radical nor cosmetic. It should be a bridge to equality. I think that's how we should.
So if this or that is not the answer, where is the answer exactly? Where does the answer lie? I think that's the biggest challenge in front of us as a society, to understand what best can be done to ensure that this is not going against women no matter what. Dr. Nikita, how do you view this from a health perspective? Tell us a little bit about a woman menstruating, what it does to her productivity, because that's where we need to begin with. Why this was thought of Why is this the need of the hour? Why is this even being spoken of across the country? Give us a few reasons, doctor.
See, very importantly, I feel it's like a standard health accommodation. Now, if we actually see, about 70 to 90% of all women are experiencing dysmenorrhea. Irregular menstruation is to the tune of 20 to 27%. Premenstrual syndrome, which we actually consider it is very normal, everybody does have it, that is also to the tune of 40 to 80%. Are we really handling that part? Are we really talking about women that this is the need of the hour? And when we actually did some stats, because we keep on going and educating so many people in offices, in corporates, in schools, they hardly come up with their issues because it's not something which is talked about and respected. So that is where we really need to take charge. The incidents told us it's about a 1.3 day off per year. And now we are giving 12 days off per year. But if we actually calculate, when we were not doing it, we were anyways taking 8.3 days off, meaning absenteeism. You are coming here, but you are unwell. So you are present in that. So there is no absenteeism, but there is presenteeism. You are working, but you are unwell. So that is a 8.3, anyways you're doing it. But when they actually formulated the whole policy, we were being talked to, we were being discussing this thing. They said you will gain more than 12 days if you actually give that one day off. Because it will give women that sense of respect. It will create more friendly atmosphere in the office. And we'll be able to break that bias of talking to a woman about this, As Meghna absolutely rightly said, we are all the time being pinpointed. What is right, what is not. It is actually going parallel to the maternity policy. It's nothing which is less. We should offer it to them because, and moreover, I always tell, even if there is something which is very urgent, we have other staggered work options. We have remote hope options. Everybody who's being given that respect and that whole aura, she will anyways not let anything wrong happen to the workspace also. No? So that much sensitivity every woman does carry. But we need to address their health issue first. We need to make sure that we care. And once they know we care, and I think we all women respect that one value, that if we are cared for, we will go anywhere out of the world to do anything right and best for our home, country, child and society. That much I think we all three can assure to the world. This is a fact.
Dr. Nitika, you may have had these interactions with your patients already.
Yes,
Tell us
yes.
from an interaction perspective, how do you see this? How do you see women react to this? Especially because even if this is a provision which is a pan-India reality tomorrow, women
Yes,
may
yes.
be labelled for being on their period. Now that is something that women surely don't want. Why should you have to tell anyone why you're taking an off? In this case, in Karnataka's case, surely you don't have to submit a medical certificate, you don't owe anybody an explanation.
Yes.
But isn't there a little bit
Yes.
of a fear that that feeling of being held accountable for taking that one
agree.
off is
Yes.
something that worries women?
See, the point is anything when we start new, that sensitivity training will be there. We have to train our HR managers and they will get trained. Once it is a policy, that means nation has actually saw that this is really needed. So that has to be done, I agree. But whether we are talking about it or not, this is a fact and everybody knows about it. And as Meghna generally said, it's something natural. We need to accept it and move forward. Now, if somebody is pregnant or somebody is breastfeeding, they are given that, respect and dignity. So this is the first step to actually create life. So we need to understand the sensitivity of this menstruation cycle. And when I'm talking about a 90% experiencing, dysmenorrhea, it may be mild to severe, I agree, but it is something which is being felt for at least 3 to 4 days in a month. So the minimum we can do is give one day. And all this sensitization, if it happens with the HR people, I'm sure it will be accepted. And I'm really happy that one state has actually taken that as their thing, and this is going to replicate.
And-
And a healthier woman will definitely be better in
Dr.
performing
Nitika,
also.
you spoke of a few medical conditions, a few
Yeah,
difficulties
yes,
women
yes.
experience during menstruation.
Absolutely,
Tell us where,
yes.
if at all you're sitting on this pain, if at all you're leaving it unaddressed, if at all in the garb of working, making it to work,
Yes.
non-stop meetings during those few hours or days, if you're ignoring your health, can that have a long-term impact on your body?
Absolutely, absolutely. Our fertility potentials are dependent on our menstruation cycle. We may be carrying so many problems. We may be having fibroids, endometriosis, and endometriosis causes severe pain. And it is the least talked and discussed. How many girls who are having this pain, how many of them are getting an ultrasound done? I would say not even 1%. I'm telling you, even in metros, not even 10%. You forget the other places. So we are ignoring it. But once there is some severity, and at least not at the school time, if we come on to the time when we are working, we can at least concentrate on our health. So this will create, a whole focus on the basic women right of their reproductive health. So it's not just that one day in a month, it's going to create a sensation all across, that it will really make women very clear that they need to take charge of their reproductive health, and they can easily talk about it and go. So it is just as parallel as a maternity that this will become.
Okay. Meghna, now zooming out a little bit, how can companies implement this policy at the same time also reinforce the whole idea or ensure that the stigma that comes with menstrual leave, which is that women are less capable during menstruation, is also something that we keep at a safe distance?
Absolutely. That's such a good point you're making. Culture can actually kill a good policy. So if you look at, say, Japan or South Korea, the uptake of this menstrual leave is surprisingly low because women are actually fearing the stigma, the career backlash, and being perceived as weak. So, a poll in South Korea was conducted that 20% of women only actually use this leave despite being entitled to it. And recent studies are also showing that, young women are worrying about it, that it will increase stigma against them. So what we need to do is we need to look at the fine print for, say, Karnataka. And we need to design this menstrual leave in a good way so that it doesn't just become this sort of pink wash trap or a trope, right? So first of all, let's look at the data. Like Doctor correctly pointed out, the productivity actually goes up when presenteeism has gone down. So when you see that menstrual leave is taken, it can actually improve productivity and retention. The IMF, in fact, has estimated that if Indian women participate in the workforce at the same rate as men, right, our GDP could actually go up by around 27%. So keeping women in the workforce is not a gift, it's actually economic strategy. So let's look at it in that way. The other thing is ignoring reproductive health is actually more expensive. So Australia, there was a study done that it would actually cost businesses around, say, $920 million a year for period leave. So what would happen is that the current productivity loss from unmanaged reproductive health issues would be much more. Was to the tune of $26 billion. And the message is very simple. The writing is on the wall that you either pay for rest or you pay much more for burnout. So I think that's what we really need to look at. Look at the actual numbers. Data points in India are not yet available, which is also something we need to focus on. But let's look at people who have actually implemented, countries that have implemented, companies that have implemented this. And the stats and finances are showing that it's actually better and economically more viable to give menstruation leave.
Yeah.
And let's see, one more thing is, employers, there's a lot of biases, colleagues will resent women for getting what they perceive as bonus holidays. Employers will quietly stop hiring women in this age bracket of 18 to 45 because they'll perceive them as too expensive. And women are also internalizing.
But could there also be a flip side to it, Meghna? Could women,
yes,
could be a smaller section, but could they also end up misusing menstrual leaves? And is that a fair or legitimate concern?
Which is why, Christine, what we need to do is to implement it in a way, say suppose dowry laws have been misused in the country, adultery laws have been misused in the country. We need to set up balances and systems that are equal to both genders, that to all genders, actually, even transgenders and non-binary people. And I mentioned that earlier also, that even men's reproductive health should be brought into the fore. This is not a gender war. This is all of us against a system that is not working. So I think we need to understand that we're allies in this. And what we need to really reinforce is that this leave will actually reduce absenteeism. It needs to be presented and implemented properly. Data points need to be collected. Economic sense also, the viability of it also needs to make economic sense. So let's present those data points. Let's normalize conversations around pain, and reproductive health for all genders. And I think that's what
If this were to be limited to, let's say, just women in workplaces, Meghna, you think that they're going to be sooner or later at the receiving end of some sort of professional isolation, that instead of bridging gender gap, this could actually further, create the gap?
That's a very, very good and very, nuanced point.
Because any employer
Yes.
would then say that I might
Would
as
think
well, and this
twice.
is the reality of
This is the
today's day
reality.
and age, that the
Yes.
employer would say, I'd rather hire a man, I'd rather hire a male employee.
This is something that has come up very often, that signal that women's bodies are liabilities in the system and not assets. And I saw this even during Me Too, where a lot of men said that we're not going to hire women because they'll speak up against false cases. So again, I'm saying that the trick now, what we need to focus on is to implement it. It must, menstruation leave must be made compulsory, but the way we implement it must also be fair to everybody, including the employer and employee, and to all genders. So I think if we make it in a fair way and not be biased towards either gender, because remember, this is not about putting women on a pedestal or penalizing them. This is about doing something that is fair. This is about doing something that will balance the equation that is stacked against women's bodies. And again, remember, women's bodies are not liabilities. That should be the point made home, like maternity leave also, right? Bring in a little paternity leave, and that kind of equalize the balance. So we need to do similar things, that equalize the workspace and let women also be part of a system that celebrates this. Remember, it's very normal, and we need to normalize this. But again, systems have to be put in place that nobody is biased against, that nobody is inconvenienced because of it. And I think that's the way to go forward.
Okay, Dr. Nitika, very quickly, what do you think are the misconceptions around menstruation in a workplace? Since we're speaking of workplace, and you can tell us about your personal experiences you've had so far. If people come to you complaining, this is how people look at me if I'm menstruating, or if I'm in pain, or if I need a chutti. Have you heard that kind of feedback? If yes, what is it?
See, basically, I'm be very honest. People come to me and they come to me with severe pain, and we do give them injectables. They come with their co-workers, colleagues. They are very compassionate at that level. But a pain which does not require an injection, it's absolutely normal for everybody, because everybody is only seeing women working. They will just keep popping a Meftal or keep doing something. But it's very, very less that anybody is going to be that sensitized till the time she either faints or she falls or she's having very heavy bleeding. And the heavy bleeding incidence is about 10 to 20%. That is also not less. But are we taking charge of it? So we are still very much tuned in that manner, that till the woman is absolutely in that state and shape that she cannot work, she will not come to us. And every day I'm telling you, I do see, if not every day 1 to 2, at least in a week I see 5 to 6 women do coming to my OPD, not an emergency, with severe pain, and they are generally in the bracket of 18 to 40. Over 40, I see less women, because they have actually, settled and they are sorted and they have been coming to us for checkups. So we manage that part. But between 18 to 30, 32, I have many, many women coming.
And
because
how
we are
many
not
of those
actually
women,
talking.
Dr. Nitika, when you're prescribing them medicines, or they're in so much pain that they need to rest up, that they're not going to be able to make it to work, how many of them ask you to give them, and this is a slightly notorious question, but how many of them are embarrassed, or they feel shamed about actually getting a medical certificate which says this in as many words?
They don't ask. They don't ask, dear. They will never ask me a medical leave for this.
And if at all they
ask
say
a medical leave for fever, but not for menstruation issues. They will ask me a medicine and they go back to work. That's actually a fact that I'm sharing with you. Because there is a lot of stigma and taboo around that whole thing. But I think this will be the first step to actually make it something normal, and we have to train our people, our HR managers. They have to be sensitized, and they will be. It is just like a maternity leave. It is just like promoting breastfeeding in workplaces and everywhere in the public, making it safe for them. So this is the first step, I think.
Okay, and very quickly before we wrap up this conversation, so very thought-provoking, Meghna, I want to leave on this positive note on what can be done. We've spoken of what more needs to be done, but coming down to implementation really, and especially the story begins with employers. If they need to be educated about menstrual health, how
that's
should
the
that
catch.
how should that process shape up and take place?
So let's look at it as menstruation leave can either be radical or it can be cosmetic. It can be a bridge to equality or it can be a fresh excuse to sideline women. So the difference is lying in how we are going to write this law, how are we going to implement it, and honestly, how are we going to examine our own biases, right? So I think we need to basically focus on the end goal that let's enable women to work and live with a little more dignity. This is required not just morally but also economically and legally. So I feel Karnataka's this new menstrual leave policy, this one paid day off every month across government and private sectors, it's going to benefit over 50 lakh women. I think it's a very
Yeah.
historic moment, and it's time we recognize that menstrual health is not just a ladies' issue. It's a labor issue, it's a productivity
Yeah.
issue, and ultimately, it's a human
And is there
rights
an
issue.
ideal
Let's keep that in mind.
model we can replicate or think of, aim for? Japan, Indonesia, we've spoken of a couple of countries, though the number
Right.
of women availing that leave is still very low, as Meghna pointed out. But is there a model that we can, to an extent, replicate here, pan-India? Meghna.
I think, so Japan, for example, they have menstrual leave, but it's often unpaid. It's, culturally underutilized. South Korea is offering also the same thing, but they actually give you extra pay if you don't take it. That's very interesting. So that's something we can learn from. Taiwan actually gives 3 days a year of partial pay.
Yeah.
And also countries like, say, Indonesia, Vietnam, Zambia, they're also providing some form of menstrual leave. Spain, of course, went from 3 days to 5 days of paid leave per month, but I think that's also pushing it too much, which would explain the economics of the country as well. So I think what we need to do is to present medical certificates. Let's put systems in place that is fair to everybody, to employers and employees. And I think what we should replicate is, I think the South Korea model, where they offer 1 day a month, but they give you extra pay if you don't take it. So in that way, it kind of for women who don't need it, I think it's a good policy to have. I think it'll keep systems and biases also in check.
The intent should be to bridge gender gap,
Yes,
most importantly, not widen gender gap in workplaces across the country. Thank you so much to the both of you for coming
you.
in with your wonderful perspectives. Really helped us piece together this entire story. We head into a very quick break on the Breakfast Club. Coming up next, we go across to our person of interest. This is a Bihar youth leading farming revolution in his state. He has changed the story for farmers in Purnia. We'll go across to him in just a bit. We'll be right back.
This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
That very day, on the 11th morning itself, Amir Rashid and Umar Rashid had been picked up by the Jammu and Kashmir police. Ishan Wani, CNN News 18's Ishan Wani was there on ground, and he was able to confirm from the family that the people who were there in the picture was Amir Rashid, and it was confirmed by Amir Rashid's family, and they also confirmed to CNN News 18 at that time that Amir Rashid and Umar Rashid, both of them had been picked up because both of them are friends of Tariq. The family at that time was quite surprised by these developments because they were not in the know of all these developments. They did not know this was happening. But Amir has picked up. He had actually given Tariq's phone number. So all three have been detained. Now the NIA, out of the two, NIA has actually detained Amir Rashid Ali because Amir made the trip all the way from Pulwama, the Sambura village in Pulwama, all the way down to Faridabad. And he went there to pick up the star. So his involvement is far greater than some of the others. Did he try to take somebody else's phone, that is Tariq, the tipper driver's phone, or were they also accomplices? What is the extent of the role that Amir had in this entire module is something now that's going to be investigated, and that's why the NIA have now detained him, because they don't know the extent. Did he do it? Was he gullible enough to go ahead and commit something because it was a request that was made that, listen, I can't go, can you just do this for me? And because if he wanted to do it on the fly, why would he take a picture?
Yes.
So that's another question. Why would I get myself photographed if I didn't want to get caught? Did I do it without knowing what the implications of my actions are? That's subject to investigation. Or did Amir actually know that what was this vehicle going to be used for, or for who it was? But he thought, it's all right, let's try and act absolutely casual about it. And is that why the picture was taken? Because the clue for the car and this picture was what helped unearth the entire extent of the Al-Falah module and its connect with the 1011 blasted Red Fort and the Umar Nabi connection. All of this established, and it was first broken out and put out here at CNN News 18, Reha.
Absolutely. Anand, thank you so much for all of that information. Remember, CNN News 18 was the first to break it, and now a confirmation coming in from the NIA. Let's now begin with our explosive weekend debate. In a dramatic escalation of a family and political feud, Rohini Acharya, daughter of Lalu Prasad Yadav, has issued a fresh public statement that deepens the rift within the Yadav family dynasty. She has declared that barring her brothers, her entire family, including her father, is with her. Her remarks follow her announcement that she is quitting politics and severing ties with her family, a step she says was compelled by months of humiliation, abuse and betrayal inside the family circle. Rohini's accusations are intense. She says that after donating a kidney to her father, she was insulted, shunned and treated as an outsider, culminating in what she describes as being thrown out of her home. Public disclosures that have triggered waves of commentary in political circles. And all this while RJD is reeling from its disastrous showing in the 2025 Bihar Assembly elections. The timing of Rohini's disclosure, particularly after Tej Pratap Yadav, the elder son of Lalu Prasad Yadav's expulsion from the RJD for 6 years and the family earlier this year. All of this adding a fresh challenge for the party. Once regarded as a relatively unified family-run outfit under Lalu, the public airing of internal strife threatens to reinforce perceptions of disunity, leadership vacuum and lack of internal discipline. For Tejasvi Yadav, who leads the party, this presents a test. Can he craft a clear narrative, an organization that withstands both electoral defeat and familial dissent? Moreover, his sister's departure may prompt questions about generational transition, the role of non-family insiders such as Sanjay Yadav and Ramiz, who has been named by Rohini, and whether the party risks becoming hostage to internal skirmishes rather than focusing on rebuilding. So the big question tonight, will this rupture be a temporary turbulence or a structural fault line for the RJD? Let's discuss.
Welcome back. Also this morning, joining us on the Breakfast Club is an Agri Innovator. While many dream of success in big cities or abroad, few return to their roots to create change. Prince is one of those rare change makers who left his comfortable tech job in Bengaluru and turned to Purnia in Bihar and started from scratch. He started small in his hometown in Bihar, launched Agrate to help farmers access basic tools, high quality seeds and sustainable fertilizers. What started as a small dream with just 1 lakh rupees borrowed from his father and relatives has grown into a thriving business empowering over 10,000 farmers, all from the heart of rural Bihar, with a turnover currently of 2.5 crore rupees and rising. The impact is believed to be stopping at 10 crore. That's what we're learning, and we'll be going across to him for more. Good morning, Prince. Prince Shukla, founder Agrate, now joins us on the Breakfast Club. Hope you're doing well, Prince.
Yeah, ma'am. Good morning, ma'am.
Okay, lovely. Are we
I'm well.
are we speaking to you from Purnia? Are you in Purnia right now?
Yeah, ma'am. Right now in Purnia.
Okay, lovely. Prince, first up, take us all the way back to 2021. I think COVID was really the turning point for you. तो बैंगलोर की नौकरी छोड़ के पूर्णिया में वापस आके, how did you start with the idea of Agrate?
मैम, जब ये ग्रेजुएशन मेरी चल रही थी एग्रीकल्चर में ही, तो ये सेकंड ईयर की बात है जब मैंने इसको स्टार्ट किया था। तो इस पे मैं काम कर रहा था, लेकिन कोरोना के कारण इसको थोड़ा सा मुझे रोकना पड़ा, क्योंकि चीजें मेरे अनुकूल नहीं हो रही थी। समझ में नहीं आ रहा था कैसे करना है। और थोड़ा सा मिडिल क्लास फैमिली का मैम जानते हैं कि थोड़ा प्रेशराइज होता है कि आपने अगर ग्रेजुएशन कर लिया है तो जॉब के बारे में सोचो या सरकारी नौकरी के बारे में सोचिए। तो थोड़ा सा कहीं ना कहीं पुश हो रहा था, मुझे भी वो चीजें आ रही थी। तो एज ए इंटर्नशिप, एज ए मैंने फर्स्ट डे जॉब करना स्टार्ट किया। तो काफी मैंने जॉब को स्विच भी किया, पंजाब से फिर मैं बेंगलोर का भी देखा, फिर बिहार में भी मैंने जॉब किया। तो सेटिस्फेक्शन नहीं मिल रहा था, क्योंकि एग्रीकल्चर में कभी कभी आपको फील्ड पे जाना होता है, कुछ कुछ कंपनियों को आपको प्रमोट करनी पड़ती है, कुछ कुछ प्रोडक्ट्स को। तो उनकी प्रोडक्ट्स को जब मैं प्रमोट कर रहा था फील्ड पे या फार्मर्स को, तो कुछ सेटिस्फेक्शन मुझे नहीं हो रहा था, क्योंकि कई चीजें आपको कुछ चीजें उनके प्रॉन्स कॉन्स को भी देखना पड़ता है। तो फील्ड पे वो सारी प्रोडक्ट भी कभी कभी अच्छी मतलब वर्क नहीं करती थी। बस प्रमोट करना था कि हाँ, ये प्रोडक्ट है, चलना है, इसको मतलब खपत करवाना। तो उन चीजों पे कभी कभी मुझे थोड़ा सा लगता था ये फार्मर्स के साथ चीटिंग है, क्यों ना मैं इनको सही चीजें बताऊं। तो वहीं से कहीं ना मैम थोड़ा सा पुश हुआ कि एग्रेड को फिर से स्टार्ट किया जाए, इस पे फिर से काम किया जाए। तो फिर मैंने एग्रेड को फाइनली 2022 में ही इसको रजिस्टर करवा दिया एमसीए में। और फिर धीरे धीरे इस पे काम करने लगा, फार्मर्स के पास जाके मिला, फार्मर्स को मैंने समझाया कि इस पे हम काम करते हैं, इस पे किस तरह से इनपुट आपको कर सकते हैं। आप जो नॉर्मल सीड से फार्मिंग कर रहे हैं, तो मैंने उनको मल्टीपल फार्मिंग, इंटीग्रेटेड फार्मिंग, इन चीजों पे मैंने डिस्कस किया, चीजें समझाई, कैसे इस पे आप डबल इनकम कर सकते हैं, मल्टीपल फार्मिंग, लेयरिंग फार्मिंग, ग्राफ्टेड प्लांट्स कैसे यूज कर सकते हैं, मल्चिंग पे किस तरह से काम कर सकते हैं। टेक्नोलॉजी को थोड़ा सा मैंने उनको कन्वेंशनल फार्मिंग से टेक्नोलॉजी को थोड़ा सा इंटीग्रेट करवा के इन चीजों पे काम किया।
और आपने जब एग्रेट पे काम करना शुरू किया फिर से, तो आप अपनी नौकरी छोड़ के आए थे बिहार, छोड़ने के बाद फिर से जोरों शोरों से काम शुरू हुआ, और यू वर स्टिल वर्किंग एंड यू स्टार्टेड योर वर्क, रिज्यूम्ड योर वर्क ऑन एग्रेट?
हाँ मैम, एक्चुअली में जो मैंने एग्रेड को स्टार्ट किया था, बहुत सारी प्रॉब्लम भी आई थी बीच में, फार्मर्स को समझाने में या चीजें कैसे इसको इंटीग्रेट किया जाए, क्योंकि बहुत सारे फार्मर्स जो है इन चीजों को समझ नहीं पाते थे कि ये यंग लड़का मुझे क्या बताए। क्योंकि मेरे बैकएंड में देखे तो मैं बहुत सारी एमएनसी कंपनी काम कर रही थी, खुद गवर्नमेंट ऑर्गेनाइजेशन काम कर रही, तो मैं क्या ऐसा नया चीज लेकर आ रहा हूँ फार्मर्स के लिए। तो वो चीज उनको थोड़ा सा ग्रैब करने में टाइम लगा, थोड़ा सा मुझे चीजों को और समझाना पड़ा, फील्ड पे जाना पड़ा। और काफी लोग थोड़े से ये कहते थे कि ये क्या कर पाएगा, बड़ी बड़ी कंपनियां यहाँ पे हार जाती है फार्मर्स के पास, आप क्या कर सकते हो नया। तो मैं धीरे धीरे कुछ कुछ एफपीओज वगैरह में जुड़ा, जहाँ पे मुझे ग्रुपिंग में मिल जाते थे किसान। तो मेरे लिए थोड़ा सा ये प्लस पॉइंट रहा कि मैंने एफपीओ को थोड़ा टारगेट किया, जहाँ पे मैं चेयरमैन, डायरेक्टर, सीईओ के साथ मिलके फार्मर्स का मीटिंग करवा के उनको एक साथ बता सकता था। तो जहाँ पे मुझे एक फार्मर्स के पास जाना पड़ता था, वहाँ एफपीओ को टारगेट करके मैं कई फार्मर्स को जोड़ सका। तो इन तरीकों से थोड़ा थोड़ा करके मैं एफपीओ से ज्यादा जुड़ने लग गया और उनको चीजें समझाने लग गया। साथ साथ में जो उन इनपुट्स की मैं बातें करता था, वो भी मैं इजिली उनको डोर स्टेप इनपुट्स भी प्रोवाइड करके देने लग गया। तो इन चीजों पे फार्मर्स को यकीन होने लग गया कि नहीं, इनका प्रोडक्ट अच्छा है और ये चीज हम इनके साथ जोड़ के काम कर सकते हैं। तो फिर धीरे धीरे मैंने एफपीओ को जोड़ना स्टार्ट किया, और ऐसे भी बहुत सारे एफपीओ मैंने बनवाए भी हैं जो कि एक हेल्प कर सकते हैं फार्मर्स को, एक एसएचजी ग्रुप, एक कन्वर्जन में, कि आप अगर एक लेवल पे अगर आप फार्मिंग कर रहे हैं, तो आप हर एक फार्मर के साथ मिलके आप उस चीज को इंटीग्रेट कर लीजिए, आपका प्रोडक्शन भी बढ़ेगा, आपको एक मार्केट का भी वैल्यूएशन मिलेगा। तो इन चीजों पे भी मैंने फार्मर के साथ मिलकर काम किया। मैं
प्रिंस, आपने 3 कोर सर्विसेज पे फोकस किया. You paid heed essentially, at least at the beginning, to 3 core services, which is supplying high quality seeds, promoting organic fertilizers, and introducing modern irrigation tools.
Right.
Now you decided that you will go ahead with full throttle with that vision. Implementation कितना challenging था? Convincing तो आपने बताई कि just to convince farmers in the beginning was a difficult task. What about finances? What about investment. आपने 1 लाख रुपए से शुरुआत करी थी, and that was also borrowed money. How have you turned that into 2.5 crore annual turnover? And I believe that's now you're looking at 10 crore annual turnover.
या मैम, इट्स जस्ट अ नंबर। मैं जब इसको बहुत सारे वो लोग कहते हैं कि 1 लाख से, और मैम मैं एक आपके इस माध्यम से, CNN न्यूज से मैं ये बोलना चाहता हूँ कि एग्रीकल्चर जो है, क्योंकि लोग मेरे बहुत सारे न्यूज वगैरह देख के ये भी कहते हैं कि अगर मैं खेती करूँ तो 1 करोड़ कमा लूँ, 2 करोड़ कमा लूँ, करोड़ों में काम करूँ। तो मैं ये थोड़ा सा बताना चाहूंगा कि अगर आप खेती करते हैं तो आप 1 करोड़ नहीं कमा सकते। उसके लिए आपको चीजें को थोड़ा सा समझना पड़ेगा कि 1 करोड़ कैसे कमाएंगे। आप एक खेती अगर आप करते हैं तो कहीं ना कहीं वो लैक्स में ही रहता है। 1 करोड़ कमाने के लिए आपको प्रोसेसिंग यूनिट तक जाना पड़ेगा, आपका खुद का अपना ब्रांड निकालना पड़ेगा, तब आप 1 करोड़ कमा सकते हैं। आप ये मत देखिए कि मैंने खेती किया, मैंने सीड्स को लगाया और जर्मिनेट करके मैंने 1 करोड़ कमा लिया। नहीं मैम, उसको कैनिंग करिए, उसको पैकेजिंग करिए, एक मार्केट तक पहुंचाइए, तब मैं ये दावा के साथ कहता तो आप 1 करोड़ कमा सकते हैं और आपको पर्सनल रीचमेंट भी मिलेगी। तो लोग को मैं ये थोड़ा समझाता हूँ कि आप खेती कर लिया, आपने 1 करोड़ कमा लिया, वैसे नहीं होता। चीजें आपको कस्टमर के पास तक पहुंचानी पड़ेगी। आपको तो कंपनी को आपने डायरेक्ट सीड बेच दिया, या आपने जो भी आपने प्रोक्योरमेंट किया, जो भी आपने परचेस किया, वो आपका कस्टमर तक पहुंचना चाहिए, फिर आप 1 करोड़ तक कमा सकते हैं। और जब मैंने 1 लाख से स्टार्ट किया था मैम, तो काफी चीजें मुझे भी प्रॉब्लम हुई थी। मैंने चीजों को समझाया, क्या बोलते हैं, वैसे के लिए वैसे मैंने मिडिल क्लास फैमिली, फादर्स भी मेरे रेडी नहीं हुए थे, फैमिली भी देख रही थी कि जब मैंने जॉब छोड़ा, क्यों छोड़ा, इसमें क्या पोटेंशियल है, क्या चीजें होती है। और लोग भी कहने लग गए कि फिर तुमने ग्रेजुएशन किया, मैंने ऑलरेडी मास्टर्स भी किया, तो इन्होंने कहा कि आपने ये क्यों किया, मतलब
आपने BSc एग्रीकल्चर में किया था, तो शायद दैट टर्न्ड आउट टू बी अ लिटिल बिट ऑफ एन एडवांटेज फॉर यू, एटलीस्ट अ स्टार्ट पॉइंट। बट प्रिंस, आपने एक और चीज बार बार कही है कि जब आपने ये डिसीजन लिया, व्हेन यू डिसाइडेड टू टर्न अवे फ्रॉम योर stable job in Bangalore to Purnia, wherein you were going to start working on Agri, really help farmers improve their livelihoods and farming techniques. आपको बोला गया था कि आप गंवार हैं, मतलब that thought process of how you're looked down upon if you choose something as traditional as farming. That's the perceived notions. आपको ऐसे लग रहा है कि वो over the years change हुआ है, लोगों ने accept करना शुरू कर दिया agriculture, farming practices को, modernization को उसमें, या अभी भी काफी कुछ करना बाकी है?
मुझे लगता है कि इस इंटरव्यू के बाद जिनका भी सोच था वो काफी चेंज होने वाला है। और बेसिकली मैम, काफी न्यूज में बहुत लोग ऐसे हैं जो कि मुझे ये मॉक करते थे गंवार ऐसा, तो अब उनको कहीं ना कहीं वो न्यूज मेरा देखते हैं या मेरा देखते हैं कि मैं इतना आगे बढ़ चुका हूँ, तो कहीं ना कहीं वो बोलते तो नहीं है, लेकिन उनके मन में तो है कि ये बंदा ने जो बोला था वो कर दिखाया है। और काफी यंगस्टर है जो मैम अभी पूर्णिया बिहार से जो नया स्टार्टअप करना चाह रहे हैं, वो भी मुझे पर्सनली आके मिलते हैं कि भैया यहाँ सर कैसे इसको एग्जीक्यूट करना है, थोड़ा मुझे गाइड करो, आपने कैसे किया। तो कभी कभी उनका भी मैं सेशन करते रहता हूँ कि किस तरह आप एक स्टार्टअप कर सकते हैं, कैसे इसको आगे बढ़ा सकते हैं, क्या क्या चैलेंजेस आ सकते हैं, गवर्नमेंट क्या स्कीम है, इन चीजों पे भी मैं हेल्प करता हूँ। और जब 1 लाख से मैंने जब मैम इसको स्टार्ट किया था, तो काफी चैलेंज, मुझे लगता है कि 1 लाख मेरा 1 साल, मतलब 2 महीने भी सर्वाइव नहीं किया था 1 लाख। और कैसे मैं धीरे धीरे कुछ कंसल्टेंट लेके या कुछ ट्रेनिंग लेके उनसे, जो मैं कुछ 1000-1500 आता था, उससे मैं काम करता था। हालांकि घर से भी कभी कभी 1000-500 रुपया ले लेता था पापा से कि पापा थोड़ा सा दीजिए, पेट्रोल वगैरह खर्चा निकल जाए। तो कहीं ना कहीं इन चीजों पे भी हुआ। और लास्टली जब मुझे लगता है 1 साल पहले से ही काफी NGOs FPO के साथ मैंने काम किया, तो फिर उनका बड़े बड़े काम आना स्टार्ट हो गया। जब मैंने 1-2 काम किया तो उनको बिलीव हो गया कि ये लड़का फाउंडेशन काम कर सकता है, इनका में पावर है कि ये कर सकता है। मैम मेरी उतनी बड़ी टीम भी नहीं है, फिर भी मैं काफी जो काम होता है वो पर्सनली जाके मैं अभी भी करता हूँ फील्ड पे। ऐसा नहीं है कि मैं 10 करोड़ ये
कोई भी काम आसान नहीं है प्रिंस, कोई भी काम आसान नहीं है, और आप एक जीते जागते एग्जाम्पल हैं इस चीज़ के। थैंक यू सो मच फॉर शेयरिंग योर स्टोरी। योर स्टोरी ट्रूली एक्सप्लेन्स हाउ you were once looked down upon for the choices you made, and today you've become a role model for so many young entrepreneurs or aspiring entrepreneurs. Thank you for being with us. With that, we shift gears now, shift focus to the automobile sector. The Overdrive team hit the Budh International Circuit to get behind the wheel of the all-new Skoda Octavia RS. This limited run model celebrates Skoda's 25 years in India. But how deep does it perform on track? Here's the overdrive verdict.
I'm Kranti, welcome to Overdrive. Today we are again at the BIC because we are going to drive one car. So I was going through some data on the internet of Octavia RS. It said 0 to 100 in 6.8 seconds, to power output around 230 PS, and the ex-showroom price around 24.62 lakhs. No, that's not the data for this one. This is the latest one. This is the 4th generation upgraded Octavia RS. That data was from 2017. And why I mentioned that, because it also showed us how Skoda has done differently. In the sense, so we have seen all the 4 generations of Octavia RS. When most of the manufacturers, they don't bring their sporty version so often. Skoda somehow managed to get all 4 generations of Octavia RS to the Indian market. And now it's time for us to test drive the latest one. So this is one of those cars where I don't have to give you a verdict, because within 20 minutes, 100 cars were sold. I mean, that was the allocation for the Indian market, and Skoda managed to sell all 100 of them. So let's talk about 0 to 100. The claimed figure is 6.4 seconds. Let's see. Okay. So that was 0 to 100. Now we are at the back straight. So the Octavia RS is fitted with 2-liter TSI turbocharged petrol engine, and it produces around 265 PS of power and 370 Newton meters of peak torque. While I drive, I can talk and give you the feel, but the first thing which you feel is the kind of soundtrack it produces. It's not very, I would say, throaty or very grunty, but it has that resonance, that volume which you like, and especially during the gear shift, you can feel that extra piece of bass. So any audiophile like me would be happy with this. The most interesting thing about Octavia RS is the shape for me, in the sense, the moment you look at this car, you feel that, okay, this is a family saloon, it's a sedan, you would want to take it on a long weekend with your family. But the moment you start running it on the track, you feel that this doesn't feel out of place at all. So this is the back side of BIC, and let's see what kind of speed can we do. Just for your information, we have 3 passengers here, I mean including me. So we just crossed 200, 202, yeah. So we touched around 202 with 3 people on board. So now we're on the cool down lap, and now I think I can go a bit slow and also talk about the car. One thing which I really liked about this Octavia RS is the kind of behavior you see, the way the steering behaves. It feels very balanced, but at the same time it has this other progressive steering mechanism which this car has. It keeps it balanced, not too sharp, not too dull, and it's pretty direct. Having said that, while doing hard corners or sharp turns, so no doubt it behaves in a very predictable manner. The handling is very controlled, the turns are sharp, and yet it manages to give a very comfortable kind of setup, both handling and suspension wise, and steering wise as well. So overall package feels very, very friendly, I would say, and yet pretty exciting. But at the same time, you also feel that, okay, you are driving a big car, a heavy car, you do feel some kind of body rolls on sharp turns. So that is something which I could gather in the last 3 laps.
Now shifting our focus a little bit to the world of cricket. South Africa stunned India in Kolkata. Remarkable fight back led by South African captain gave the World Test champions a 30-run win and a 1-0 series lead. All eyes are now on the second test in Guwahati on the 22nd November. Here's a quick recap.
The World Test champions South Africa have taken a 1-0 lead in the two-match test series, defeating India by 30 runs at Eden Gardens, Kolkata. Not giving up was the mantra for South Africa as they bounced back from getting 159 all out in the first innings to beating India in the fourth innings in their own backyard. Even at the end of the second day, when they lost 7 of their men at a score of 93 runs, and taking a 63-run lead, India were looked at as firm favourites. But at that point in time, South Africa needed a captain's knock from Temba Bavuma, which he eventually delivered on Sunday. A 44-run partnership with Corbin Bosch for the 8th wicket and returning not out on 55 was the difference between India and the victory. South Africa set a 125-run target for India, which eventually the hosts failed to chase. India missed the services of their captain Shubman Gill, and also the intent to bat on such a deteriorating pitch. However, Indian coach Gautam Gambhir has clearly said that there were no demons in the pitch. In fact, the team who wanted to win needed to show intent, just like Temba Bavuma. He did, and he got runs.
ये विकेट में कोई ऐसे डीमंस नहीं थे कि आप ये अनप्लेबल विकेट तो नहीं था. टेम्बा बवुमा ने भी रन बनाए, अक्सर ने भी रन बनाए, वॉशी ने भी रन बनाए. पॉइंट इज़ कि अगर हम हमेशा विकेट के बारे में बात करते रहेंगे, जिसमें आप अगर ये इसको टर्निंग ट्रैक कहते हैं, तो इसमें अगर आप विकेट्स उठा के देखेंगे तो सीमस ने कितने विकेट लिए. मेजॉरिटी ऑफ द विकेट सीमस के पास गए. हम हमेशा ये बात करते रहते रहे टर्निंग ट्रैक है, ये हो रहा है, वो हो रहा है. लेकिन अगर आप 40 विकेटें अगर उठा के देखें, उसमें मेजॉरिटी ऑफ विकेट सीमस की हैं. तो अगर आप टर्निंग ट्रैक के सीमर पे आउट होते हैं, तो मेरे को नहीं लगता कि बहुत ज़्यादा ये मुश्किल विकेट था. ये वो विकेट था जहाँ पर आपकी टेक्निक जज हो सकती है, चैलेंज होती है, आपकी मेंटल टफनेस चैलेंज होती है, और उससे ज़्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट है कि क्या आपके पास टेम्परामेंट है.
While Temba Bavuma extended his unbeaten streak as the South African Test captain, registering 10th victory in 11 games, the India are 0-1 down, and now both teams fly down to Guwahati for the second test. But the biggest question here is, will Shubman Gill get fit on time and join the team in Guwahati? This is Akash Biswas reporting for CNN News 18.
Okay, from sports to entertainment, let's talk about Rajkumar Rao and Patralekha. They welcomed their first child, and the moment couldn't have been more special for the couple as their daughter arrived on their 4th wedding anniversary. We get you this special report for more on the couple breaking the news on the internet and how fans reacted with a series of congratulatory messages. Take a look.
Bollywood woke up to a heartwarming news on Saturday as Rajkumar Rao and Patralekha welcomed a baby girl, marking a truly unforgettable milestone in their lives. The couple announced the news via their Instagram accounts, and what made it even more special is the fact that their daughter arrived on their 4th wedding anniversary. In their joint statement, they said they are over the moon and described their little girl as the greatest blessing God had given them on their 4th wedding anniversary, expressing gratitude and overwhelming joy. As soon as the news broke, several Bollywood celebs rushed to shower their love and blessings upon the couple. While Sunil Grover wrote, "Badhai ho, Rajkumari aayi hai," Kriti Sanon, Vani Kapoor and Sonam Kapoor sent their love to the new parents. Varun Dhawan wrote, "Welcome to the club, guys," while Rajkumar's Fanne Khan co-star Anil Kapoor also congratulated them. The journey to this moment has been an emotional and meaningful one for both Rajkumar and Patralekha. Earlier this year, the couple had confirmed Patralekha's pregnancy through a soft pastel-themed announcement that read "Baby on the way." The couple had then embarked upon a peaceful baby moon to New Zealand. Patralekha had later described the trip as soothing and memorable, saying that motherhood had already begun reshaping her perspective. She had also opened up about the emotional highs and physical changes of pregnancy, calling it both challenging and deeply rewarding, while Rajkumar had confidently chimed in that he would make a great dad. Speaking of their love story, Rajkumar had first noticed Patralekha in an advertisement, and their connection strengthened during the filming of Hansal Mehta's 2014 film City Lights.
This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
Amid growing turmoil in Lalu Yadav's family, daughter Rohini Acharya has taken a dig at Tejasvi Yadav, saying that she has only disowned her brother. She asserted that her parents, particularly her father, have always supported her and stood by her side. Earlier, Acharya alleged that she was subjected to humiliation, including abusive language, an attempt to assault her with a slipper, and her kidney being called dirty. She said that she refused to compromise on her self-respect or abandon the truth, claiming that this was the reason she faced such behavior. She also blamed Tejasvi's close aides, Sanjay Yadav and Ramiz, for quitting politics, and she said that she has been made an orphan. On the other side, the BJP launched a sharp attack on the Lalu Prasad Yadav's family, using Rohini Acharya's allegation of mistreatment to accuse the RJD of patriarch of failing his own daughter despite her life-saving sacrifice. Let's listen in.
रोहिणी जो बोलती है सच बोलती है और जिसको भी कंडेम करना आकर के सामने मेरे सामने बैठवाइए। आप ये बात जाकर के तेजस्वी यादव किसके शह पे हुआ है उनसे जाके पूछिए, संजय यादव से पूछिए, रेचल यादव से पूछिए, रमीश से जाके पूछिए। नहीं, पिताजी मेरे साथ हमेशा है। कल मेरे माता पिता भी रो रहे थे, मेरी बहन रो रही थी मेरे लिए। मुझे बस इतना ही कहना है कि भगवान ना करे कि आप लोग के भी घर में कभी मेरे जैसी बहन बेटियां हो। जिस घर में भाई हो, भाई लोग का ही योगदान होना चाहिए। काहे सारा बलिदान बेटी लोग दी, और जब बेटी कुछ सवाल पूछे तो आप बोल दीजिएगा कि आप ससुराल में जाओ, तुम्हारा शादी हो गया है। बॉम्बे घर है, बॉम्बे में रहेंगे 10 दिन।
नहीं, देखिए वो भगनी है, हमारी भी बहन राबड़ी देवी रही है। बहुत सारा हम भी पकड़ना झेले हैं, लेकिन हम अपने बहन के खिलाफ कभी आज तक एक शब्द भी नहीं बोला है। लेकिन जो सुनने में आया है, जो लोग बोल रहे हैं, ये गलत है, ठीक नहीं है। वो हमारी भांजी भी है और घर की बेटी भी है, बिहार का भी बेटी है। उसके साथ जो है व्यवहार, अगर कोई भी अगर इस तरह का व्यवहार किया है तो वो गलत है, तरीका ठीक नहीं है।
राजद की अराजकता बाहर जो झलकता था अब घर के अंदर भी झलक रहा है, और इस मानसिकता के लोग जो अपने परिवार को समेट के नहीं रख सकते, वो बिहार को कैसे चला सकते। पहले भाई को अब बहन को, ये मानसिकता कहीं उनका पारिवारिक मामला है, इस पर हम बहुत कुछ नहीं कहेंगे, लेकिन ये मानसिकता उनके भविष्य को तय करेगा।
देखिए, उनके परिवार का आंतरिक मामला है, इस पर मेरी क्या टिप्पणी होगी, लेकिन उसी तरह के आचार व्यवहार संस्कार के लोग ही हैं। तो बाहर में कम दिखता है, अंदर में तो उसी तरह की स्थिति है जो कभी कभी बाहर दिख जाती है, लेकिन उनका मामला है, इसमें हम क्या बताएंगे। देखिए, अब इसमें हम बहुत कुछ नहीं बोल पाएंगे, उनका मामला है, लेकिन बाहर
And now we bring to you a special section on financial markets powered by Money Control Pro, Money Control's premium destination for investing in business insights. First in markets, GIFT Nifty indicates a positive start for Indian equities. Asian shares opened on a cautious note given the series of US economic data expected this week. Crude oil opens higher for the week as supplies normalize in Russian ports, and gold opened higher in international trades as hopes of US Fed rate cuts wane. Speaking of consumer electronics sector in particular, had a relatively weak first half thanks to adverse weather and postponement of purchase due to GST. Much better second hour riding on festive demand and GST rate rationalization is likely. Margins too could be seen to normalize as promotion expenses moderate and premiumization should gather pace to aid profitability. So don't forget to log into Money Control Pro to find out more about the consumer electronics industry and other actionable insights on markets. And while we hope we did happen to succeed at making your Monday slightly more motivated, lots more coming up through the week on The Breakfast Club. Don't forget to tune in tomorrow at 8. See you. Bye-bye.
This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
Amid growing turmoil in Lalu Yadav's family, daughter Rohini Acharya has taken a dig at Tejasvi Yadav, saying that she has only disowned her brother. She asserted that her parents, particularly her father, have always supported her and stood by her side. Earlier, Acharya alleged that she was subjected to humiliation, including abusive language, an attempt to assault her with a slipper, and her kidney being called dirty. She said that she refused to compromise on her self-respect or abandon the truth, claiming that this was the reason she faced such behavior. She also blamed Tejasvi's close aides, Sanjay Yadav and Ramesh, for quitting politics, and she said that she has been made an orphan. On the other side, the BJP launched a sharp attack on the Lalu Prasad Yadav's family, using Rohini Acharya's allegation of mistreatment to accuse the RJD of patriarch of failing his own daughter despite her life-saving sacrifice. Let's listen in.
रोहिणी जो बोलती है सच बोलती है और जिसको भी कंडेम करना आकर के सामने मेरे सामने बैठवाइए। आप ये बात जाकर के तेजस्वी यादव किसके शह पे हुआ है उनसे जाके पूछिए, संजय यादव से पूछिए, रेचल यादव से पूछिए, रमेश से जाके पूछिए। नहीं, पिताजी मेरे साथ हमेशा है। कल मेरे माता पिता भी रो रहे थे, मेरी बहन रो रही थी मेरे लिए। मुझे बस इतना ही कहना है कि भगवान ना करे कि आप लोग के भी घर में कभी मेरे जैसी बहन बेटियां हो। जिस घर में भाई हो, भाई लोग का ही योगदान होना चाहिए। काहे सारा बलिदान बेटी लोग दी। और जब बेटी कुछ सवाल पूछे तो आप बोल दीजिएगा कि आप ससुराल में जाओ, तुम्हारा शादी हो गया है। बॉम्बे घर है, बॉम्बे में रहेंगे 10 दिन।
नहीं, देखिए वो भगनी है, हमारी भी बहन राबड़ी देवी रही हैं। बहुत सारा हम भी प्रताड़ना झेले हैं, लेकिन हम अपने बहन के खिलाफ कभी आज तक एक शब्द भी नहीं बोला है। लेकिन जो सुनने में आया है, जो लोग बोल रहे हैं, ये गलत है, ठीक नहीं है। वो हमारी भांजी भी है और घर की बेटी भी है, बिहार का भी बेटी है। उसके साथ जो है व्यवहार, अगर कोई भी अगर इस तरह का व्यवहार किया है तो गलत है, तरीका ठीक नहीं है।
राजद की अराजकता बाहर जो झलकता था अब घर के अंदर भी झलक रहा है, और इस मानसिकता के लोग जो अपने परिवार को समेट के नहीं रख सकते, वो बिहार को कैसे चला सकते। पहले भाई को अब बहन को, ये मानसिकता कहीं उनका पारिवारिक मामला है, इस पर हम बहुत कुछ नहीं कहेंगे, लेकिन ये मानसिकता उनके भविष्य।
बैंक ऑफ बड़ौदा के संग त्योहार की उमंग।
Hello and welcome. You're watching CNN News 18 with me, Hem Kaur Sura, and here's a look at all the top stories that we're tracking for you at this hour. After landslide victory, NDA's oath ceremony likely on the 20th of November in Patna's Gandhi Maidan. Now the Lalu Yadav family feud intensifies. Rohini Acharya alleges insult over kidney transplant. Tej Pratap comes out in support of his sister. Breakthrough in the Red Fort blast case. NIA arrests Umar Nabi's aide Amir Rashid Ali in case for alleged conspiracy with the bomber. West Bengal governor seeks legal opinion against TMC MP's arms remark. Kalyan Banerjee says he's ready for a court battle.